Merry meet and welcome to Psalmic Saturday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga and we are streaming live on YouTube and on Twitch. Eek. I got the wrong video. Moderating today are the lovely... There we go. Moderating today are the lovely Jason and the lovely Honeypaw. Thank you so much, moderators, and thank you so much to everybody for joining us today for today's Psalm Spell. We have a premiere today at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and that's just over 40 minutes from now. I hope you can join us for that. If you just stay on through the exit music, you will receive you'll get to a link. It'll take you right to a link to get to that premiere. Or you can just go onto our channel on YouTube. If you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and you make sure and hit that bell button and choose all notifications, you'll also receive notifications when we're live, when we're having premieres, when new videos are up, etc. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and choose all notifications. Our website is located at arielscorner.com, arielscorner.com, and you'll find on that main website that we have an online Witches Psalter. So if you'd like to follow along with us today, we are going to be on Psalm number 7. Oh, let's see. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, yes, I always forget. If you'd like to donate, you can go to paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga, paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga. On YouTube, you could use a super sticker, super chat, or super thanks if you feel like giving a donation here. We also have a shop at arielscornershop.com, arielscornershop.com, and we have a lot of t-shirts. We're going to get some hoodies in there. We don't have those yet, but the hoodies are coming, and some other kinds of products. We've got mugs, etc. If there's anything in particular that you would love to see at our shop, remember right now it's all that print on demand kind of stuff. So t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, anything like that you'd like, let us know. We hope to be getting a regular shop soon. It's just not happening as quickly as we had thought it would. All right, let's see. I guess that's it. Tomorrow we have a live stream lecture, and then we're off for a couple of days and back for Witchy Wednesday on Wednesday. So I hope that you can join us tomorrow again. And if you have any questions, you can put them right in the chat thread. And also just chat amongst yourselves if you have anything you want to chat about. It doesn't matter if it's to do with what's going on the video. It's fine. You're not disturbing anybody if you have other things you want to say. But if you do have a question for me, put it right in the chat thread, and I will do my best to get to it before the end of the stream. Like I said, we do have a premiere, but it's not a very long psalm, so I think we should be fine. All right, here we go. Today we are working Psalm number 7. In traditional psalm magic, we use Psalm 7 to break hexes and curses, to be vindicated when we're falsely accused, to ensure a just verdict in court, to overcome any kind of crossed condition, and to stop conspiracies. So that's a nice bunch of stuff you can use this psalm for. And part of the strength of this psalm is declaring and realizing our divine innocence. And so today's psalm is really all about finding and declaring our divine innocence. The way we work psalm magic is quite simple and very effective. We take the psalm that we're working and we speak it out loud all the way through once without stopping. We call this an incantation. After we're finished with that, we go back through the psalm and we consider each verse in turn. And we search for hidden occult meanings that lie within each verse. You're never going to find all of them. There's an infinite amount of those seeds of wisdom. We call them magic seeds. And by doing this work, by digging and searching and applying what we find there to the situation that we've brought to the psalm, we are in effect taking those magic seeds and planting them in the fertile grounds of our mind, where they take root, they grow, they blossom forth, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that is exactly what you and I are going to do together right now with Psalm number 7. Lord my God, in thee do... Okay, let's do that again without all this squeaking chair. Lord my God, in thee do I put my trust. Save me from all them that persecute me, and deliver me. Lest he tear my soul like a lion, rending it in pieces, while there is none to deliver. O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there be any iniquity in my hands, if I have rewarded evil unto him that was at peace with me, yea, I have delivered him that without cause is mine enemy. Let the enemy persecute my soul, and take it. Yea, let him tread down my life upon the earth, and lay mine honor in the dust. Selah. Arise, O Lord, in thine anger. Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. So shall the congregation of the people compass thee about. For their sakes, therefore, return thou on high. The Lord shall judge the people. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, and according to mine integrity that is in me. O let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins. My defense is of God, which saveth the upright in heart. God judgeth the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. He hath bent his bow, and made it ready. He hath also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordained his arrows against the persecutors. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and I will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. Lord represents the one force of the universe, and there's only one, and it's important that we orient to this before we do any work in this psalm magic, because when we have our mind set on the concept of the oneness of what it's calling the Lord, then we are oriented toward the force of the universe, which has nothing to oppose it, and that's why our success is assured. So whatever it is that brought you to the psalm, if you're being unjustly accused, or if something is coming at you, if somebody's hexing you, if somebody's cursing you, or even if you are finding yourself jinxed, like nothing ever works for me, I'm working through my life like it's Murphy's Law. A jinx is different from a curse in that a jinx usually comes from our own thought patterns, whereas a curse sometimes is something that's going on that's been placed upon us from somebody else. So either way, whatever's going on, it's not fair. Whatever unfairness there is, you have to recognize that that's not the will of the infinite. And when you orient yourself to the one force, the one source, the one substance of all the universe, then you are in a position where you can plead your case. Now, in this setting, the Lord is seen as a judge in a court. That's the setting of this psalm. So that's the image here. And we want to be judged rightly because we are innocent, and we're going into this claiming our innocence. And so if you don't feel innocent, if you struggle with guilt feelings, going through this psalm is going to help you, because you're going to understand that you were created innocent. You were created innocent, and you were created what the Psalms call righteous. Righteousness is your natural state of being, and that's regardless of what you have done within the realm of the ego. All of that is forgiven, because the infinite only sees you as you're created, and you're created righteous. Lord my God, in thee do I put my trust. Save me from all them that persecute me. Deliver me. So now that we've oriented ourselves to this force, it feels so relieving to be able to say I put my trust in that force, because I know that whatever I'm feeling is going on in my life, whether it's internal or external, that I feel persecuted about, I know that I will be delivered. And to be delivered is an instantaneous thing. It's an instantaneous thing. When you're delivered from a problem, it means that it no longer exists for you. Lest he tear my soul like a lion, rending it in pieces, while there is none to deliver. So whatever the problem is, if you're being clear with yourself that if you weren't going to orient yourself toward this one power, that if it was just up to you, then you would probably be destroyed by this problem, whatever it is. At least it feels that way. We don't know that that's true, but it feels that way. So it's important to understand that by yourself, of yourself, you can't do anything, or you can't do much. But when you give your trust and you put your faith in the one power of the entire universe, there's nothing that can't be done. There's nothing that you can't accomplish. There's nothing that can harm you. O Lord my God, if I have done this, there would be iniquity. O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there be iniquity in my hands, if I have rewarded evil unto him that was at peace with me, yea, I have delivered him that without cause is mine enemy, let the enemy persecute my soul and take it. Now I'm kind of doing partial verses here and combining some because the way they break up the verses is kind of awkward. But what we're talking about here is if you're judging yourself, like, well, I'm not perfect. Look at all the things that I've done. Maybe I do deserve this. If you allow yourself to go down that train of thought, remember that thought is creative and that the idea of guilt demands punishment in the realm of this world. This world is set up with a type of cause and effect that's not going to give you what you want. If you are projecting guilt out into the world, what you're going to get back is punishment. And so what you're doing is you're reminding yourself that the infinite didn't create you guilty. So no matter what you think you might have done, no matter what your ego might tell you you've done, no matter what the reasons are that you might have in your life, thought maybe I deserve what I'm getting because maybe I am guilty. Look at all of the things that I've done in my past. It's important to let those come up so that you can give them over to this force so that you can realize that the infinite doesn't judge you like that. The infinite does judge you, but the infinite judges you rightly because the infinite knows you as you were created and that you're not powerful enough. And this is hard for the ego to hear this. You're not powerful enough to make God not love you. You're not powerful enough to create so-called sins that are so bad that the infinite won't help you. So, yea, let him tread down my life upon the earth and lay mine honor in the dust, Selah. So you're saying, yes, if I did all of these things, fine, let it happen. But the infinite won't let those things happen because you're coming to the infinite. You're recognizing who the infinite is. You're recognizing that there is one power and that nothing can thwart it. Nothing can go up against it. And regardless of anything that you may have thought you have done or didn't do in the past, that you possibly could deserve whatever it is that you're going through, the infinite doesn't buy it. The infinite sees you as you are, and that is righteous. Arise, O Lord, in thine anger. Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. Now your enemies are whatever you've brought to the psalm, whatever the problem is. There's always a problem. If you didn't have a problem, you probably wouldn't do psalm magic. There's so many other things you could do. Usually when people come to the psalms, it's because something's wrong. So whatever's wrong is your enemy. And anything that surrounds that, all the causes of that, all of the intricacies of that, those are all your enemies. Now, the image here is, arise, O Lord, in thine anger. Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. We are seeing that it's almost as if the Lord has been dormant up until this point, and now you're asking the Lord to awaken. And it appears sometimes that the Lord is dormant because the Lord or this force always waits upon our call. It doesn't come in uninvited because that would be akin to an attack. So the infinite's not going to attack you. But when you call upon it, it is responsive. It always responds. Now, a lot of times when you're asking for healing to be done, it seems as though God's angry. And that's from the perspective of the ego mind, from the perspective of the problems, it does appear that God's angry. Imagine what the darkness feels in the presence of the light. The light's not angry, but it could feel like the light was angry from the perspective of the darkness because it's destroying it. So whatever the problem is, whatever the enemies, so-called enemies are, they are going to experience the wrath of the Lord, if you will. But it's not true anger. It's not that God's angry at these things. God doesn't see these things because God didn't create these things. God's just simply arising as the light that it is, the correction that it is. So it's really easy to get caught up in these old histrionics, these old dramatic images, and think, oh, God's so angry. But you don't want to think of God as angry ultimately, because you don't want to ascribe a human emotion to the infinite, because then you're not really dealing with the one power, the one source, the one force in all the universe. You're dealing with some sort of a projection. And you don't want to deal with the projection. You want to deal with the real thing. And the real thing doesn't get angry, but it can appear to be angry. So shall the congregation of the people compass thee about. For their sakes, therefore, return thou on high. All people are thoughts in your mind. The congregation of the people are our organized thoughts in our mind. We are going to focus our thoughts on the infinite. That's to compass the infinite about. Our mind is not on the problem. We are commanding our thoughts to be on the infinite and let the infinite deal with the problem. If we knew how to fix the problem would have been gone a long time ago. We wouldn't need this. We wouldn't come to the Psalms. We wouldn't need the infinite. None of this would be necessary. If we knew how to fix this, it would have been fixed. So our thinking and being upset about and planning and all of the things that we're doing in regards to thinking about the problem didn't work. So the Psalm is being very clear. Now we're not going to do that. We're going to take our mind, our focused thought, the congregation of the people, off of the problem and put them on the Lord, or on this power, which is compass thee about. And for their sakes, therefore return thou on high. And it's not that the infinite was never, had come down off of his throne or something like that. It's just that when you remember what the infinite is, it's as if the infinite reappears, but it reappears within your mind because you're thinking of it. So the idea is to continuously think of the infinite. And that's the key to solving any problem, really, but especially this one. So shall the congregation of the people... Oh, I already did that. The Lord shall judge the people. Judge, O Lord, according to my righteousness and according to mine integrity that is in me. And that's the only thing the Lord does. This is an actual affirmation. This is for your sake that you're saying this, not for the Lord's. The Lord doesn't need your instruction. Please only look at the real parts of me that you created and not all the mistakes that I've made. That's already a given. But you need to remind yourself that that's all the Lord sees in you, is the perfection of who you are. Because when you realize that, then you want to put your thoughts on your righteousness rather than your problems, rather than your mistakes. And that's how those things get healed. That's how those things dissolve. Because remember, what's in the past is gone. Whatever you did or didn't do, whatever has happened, it's over. So we don't want to recreate the past. We don't want to just keep ruminating over how bad we are or the mistakes we made or the mistakes they made or whatever that is. We don't want to keep doing that. We want to instead put our focus on the solution, put our focus on the source of all that is, and that's the infinite. Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins. When the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins, it gives us a very inaccurate perception, the idea of this. God's putting us to the test. God's always putting us to the test. In a way, that's true, but God's not putting you to the test in order to have you prove your worthiness. What God's putting to the test is the ultimate judgment. Which parts of your mind, which parts of you are authentic and which parts of you are not? The part of you that created this problem and that's involved with this problem is not what the infinite created. So we want the infinite to try that. We want the infinite to judge that so that it can be expelled, that it can be disposed of. And so that's sort of what this is when you go to God as a judge, you're asking for this great sorting out experience. Keep the good and get rid of the bad. Keep what's working and get rid of what's not working. Keep what is you at your core and get rid of what isn't you at your core. Get rid of the falseness, because it's only the falseness that creates these problems, because the falseness, or the ego, if you will, trades on problems. That's the whole idea of the ego, is let's get lots of problems so that this person is constantly busy thinking about the problems. My defense is of God, which saveth the upright in heart. That is probably something that you could just go around with in your mind, because our main issue and why problems take a hold in our lives is because we believe that we have to defend ourselves against all of the things that aren't of the infinite. Right? So when we become defensive, then we are making those things real. We are crystallizing the experiences. We're making them more and more actual. We are actualizing them in our lives. The more we defend, the more we have to defend against. And so our goal here in this verse here is to lower our defenses, to let the infinite do the defending for us. We don't have to defend ourselves. Now, obviously, in practical terms, you're going to lock your door at night. You're going to make sure that you arm your security system, all of that stuff. I'm talking about defending in your heart, defending in your aura, the tension that it takes to be defensive. And instead of that, you're going to relax all of your defenses and allow the infinite to do the defending for you. God judgeth the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. So angry with the wicked is again a projection based on what it appears to happen. It appears as though when the infinite shows up on the scene that the wicked get destroyed, and that must be because God's pissed off at them. Right? So that's a very primitive way of looking at that. But that's not actually what's happening. Like we said before, any more than when you turn on the light in the room and the darkness goes away, it doesn't mean that the light was angry at the darkness. There was no anger there. It just could appear that way. But that God judgeth the righteous. So God judges you according to your righteousness, because that's what you were created to be, righteous. Righteous simply means healthy, simply means in your right mind. It means innocent. You are innocent. You can't undo your innocence, no matter how hard you try. You can try, and people do. People become horrible people because their egos really want them to prove to the infinite, I'm not righteous. See, I'm different. I'm special. And it's never going to work. It's never going to work. There may be a lot of unraveling and undoing and things that have to happen in order to get to understanding the truth about yourself. But if you can get to it right now and understand that no matter what you do, you can't make God mad at you. You can't make God stop loving you. You can't make God see you as anything other than the righteous perfection and innocent child of the universe that you are. So you may as well stop trying. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. He hath bent his bow and made it ready. Now we're talking about what the ego's doing here. He hath also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordained his arrows against his persecutors. So that's the ego right there. The ego is all about the instruments of death. The ego is always about putting up the arrows, always about making a fortress and defending. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. It's all falsehood. Anything that the ego tells you is false. And how do you know if it's the ego or your spirit? How do you feel? Do you feel peaceful? Do you feel certain that the infinite loves you and that you're a perfect child? Or are you upset? Are you afraid? Are you angry? Are you ready to attack? Then you can tell which voice you're listening to. He hath made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. And that's what happens to the ego. That's what happens to all of your problems. And that's what happens to any, quote, evil in the world. It does destroy itself. Evil just meaning that which goes against the truth. So any lie, any darkness, any problem, anything that is not of absolute truth and perfection in your life is ultimately going to be in the very pit that it digged for itself. And if you withdraw your involvement in the situation emotionally, you may not always be able to withdraw yourself practically from situations. There's stuff that we have to do in the world, and you'll be shown what to do. You'll be told. But if you withdraw emotionally from the situation and know that it's being taken care of, you can hasten the falling into the pit of the problem because you're no longer keeping it at bay. You're no longer keeping it active because that is the ultimate destination of any problem, is to be in that pit that it digged. Every problem gets solved eventually, one way or another, but you can hasten the solving of this problem in a most wonderful way by pulling away from your involvement emotionally and letting the infinite take care of it for you. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. Now, if somebody's like after you, if there's a horrible person out there, again, ultimately nobody's horrible, but I understand, that not everybody is acting like their true self here in this world. There are people that act like very, very horrible people, and they do awful things to one another. So if there's somebody that you're coming to this psalm for that's being awful to you, they will destroy themselves. They will. It will happen. But it's not up to you to make sure that happens, and it's also not up to you to keep track of how and when that happens. Let it take care of itself, because ultimately, even though those people, their behavior will be destroyed, they as souls won't be destroyed, and they too will be forgiven. They too will be seen as the innocent child of the universe, which they are, all in due time. And none of that is up to you to know and be aware of or keep track of. All that matters to you is that the problem gets solved, and if that problem involves awful people, that those awful people be removed from your life and their behavior. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and I will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. And this is what your job is. Praise the Lord according to his righteousness. So according to the righteousness of the Lord is righteousness. The Lord is righteousness. The infinite is righteousness. There's nothing but righteousness there. It's the very energy of righteousness. And that's why you're an extension of that same righteousness, so you're righteous too. I'm righteous, you're righteous, we're all righteous. Everybody's righteous. Look under your seat. You get righteous, you get righteous. Everybody is righteous. So it's worthy of your praise. Now, what is praise? It's acknowledging enthusiastically that something's good. So, yay, righteous. I'm so grateful for my innocence because that was how I was created. I'm so grateful for the infinite for being the source of my innocence, etc., etc. And that's what you do is praise. Figure out things to praise. And I will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. And you can do this for all your life. What are the different qualities of the infinite? We have 8 that we deal with very frequently, but there's so many different qualities of the infinite that you can come up with. Infinite prosperity, infinite love, infinite joy, infinite life, infinite spirit, infinite soul, infinite intelligence, infinite law, etc., etc., etc. So you can take one name of God at a time, meaning quality of God, in your mind and praise it. And notice where it is in your life. Notice where it is in the world. Notice where it is in your heart. And the more you do that, the more those things show up in your life to replace the problems that you've brought to the psalm. But if you sit and talk about the problem over and over again, then there's no way for that to happen because you've not given any entry point into your life for the healing to occur. So the psalm is very clear what you need to be doing with your time, and that is praising the name of the Lord. And pretty much all of the psalms get you there at some point or another, and that's why they always work. So you never have to worry about having choosing the wrong psalm, because it's going to get you to the solving of any problem. And this one is no different. So you just keep coming back to that psalm each and every day until you get a sense of peace and certainty that whatever this is that you've brought to the psalm, it's been taken care of. And when you get that sense of peace and certainty, then you don't think about it anymore and move on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Until next time, blessed be. Okie dokie smoky. Let's see what we got going on here. We have some questions. Okay. Why does the infinite let us suffer in various ways when it already knows the solutions to our problems? I sometimes feel we are slaves to the infinite, or is this my ego talking? Well, the infinite doesn't. The infinite doesn't allow for suffering. It's not the infinite's will that you suffer. The only way that you can suffer is in this world, but this world isn't real either. This world is not the will of the infinite for us. So from my perspective, we're all in a nightmare here. And if there's suffering here, our goal is to call upon the infinite to relieve that suffering. So if the suffering is our own, we have our own methods that we use. If there's all kinds of different paths, but in magic, we have ways to relieve that suffering. If other people are suffering around us, we can help to relieve that suffering, but part of that has to come from them, that they have to know that they don't want this anymore, and that they have to move into an awakening. But ultimately, there won't be any suffering, because ultimately we will wake up, because that's going to be the collective will of our species to awaken to the fact that we don't need this suffering anymore. But remember that part of our curse here is that of free will. And we can use our minds any way we want. And as a result of using our minds any way we want, we think horrible thoughts. We think awful thoughts as a species and individually. And collectively, this is called the demiurge in my vernacular. And individually, it's called the ego. The same basic thing. It's just the demiurge is the collective version of that. And the fact that we're all asleep to the fact that we're all asleep to the fact that we have that power of creating with our minds, we've given rise to the possibility of suffering. Now, I'm not saying that you personally are responsible for your own suffering, but the fragmented mind of humanity is responsible for all suffering, and there is a way out, and it's by awakening. But it's not the idea that it's the infinite's fault that we're suffering is not how I see things at all. The infinite's will for us is ultimately happiness, and if we go against that will on any level as a species or as individuals, then we do have suffering, and this world is a world of suffering. That's what this world is, but this is not the world that the infinite created for us, and it's not the infinite's will that we stay here, but the infinite does give us the freedom to think however we want to think. And it's going to take an awakening for us to move out of the suffering. Which angel is helping me in the sorting out, judging? Which angel? The Shekinah is really what does that. The Shekinah is really what does the sorting out and can work through your birth angels. So that would be probably if you're working angel magic, I'm assuming, if you're working the angel magic path, the Shekinah will be working through your own birth angels because everybody's different. All right. Well, thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun. I hope to see you over on our premiere. We better get going so we're not late. Thank you so much to the amazing moderators, Jason, Honeypaw, and I saw Dre in there too. So thank you all very much. And we'll see you over at the premiere. Until next time, blessed be.